This is Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the fellow who has a hyphen in my name. The hyphen is silent, but I am anything but that. We have here, democratically speaking, I always say democratically because I have to assume that everybody is somewhere in the world at different times and different places. I have to admit, I'm in my office. It's a cold morning. It's in Canada. And my name is Jeremy Wentworth-Stanley. I'm the voice of Respectonomics, and I have my co-host with me, Sarah Benton. And
Good morning.
in good Canadian fashion, good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Jeremy. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah. Before we get into the this discussion, this podcast, I want to say one thing. We've started up a new platform. It's called Living Youth. Excuse me. And Living Youth, as the name implies, is a podcast message for young people. It's going to be delivered 5 days a week. They are no longer than 3 or 4 minutes. I want to be quite clear on that. You could call them mini podcasts, but they focus on youth. And they are designed to be, well, they are little stories with a message. And I think you've listened to one of them, Sarah. I
Yes,
think, yeah. And I think your comment was, it's cute. Is that correct?
yes. I
Yeah.
like
Well, it's
how it's a quick synopsis and it's fantastic.
well, it's designed to give people a chance to be reconnected to themselves. For us, as the older generation, to be able to relate to the young people today, and behind the scenes, this business of young people being coming into the mix, if you will. We always talk about them as being the leaders of tomorrow, the disciples of the message, and so on. And this is all true. But you know something? We've got to give youth the opportunity to see their way into decent careers, decent senses of hope and expectation. That's our responsibility. And that's what Living Youth does.
Excellent.
Good. So now back to the life version or the life component of the living asset. The living asset, let's all remind each other, the living asset is the human being. We are assets and we are living. We are human beings. And this one is entitled The Meaning of Meaning. Now, Sarah, I have a question for you. Do you believe that anybody between the ages of 0 and 100 has at some point said to themselves, what is the meaning of life? Do you think?
1000%.
Okay, so we know that everybody asks that question. So my question is this then. If you want to know what the meaning of life is, which I think you would agree is an incredibly important central issue to humanity, yes?
Mhm.
We're okay
Very
on that.
complex as well.
Okay, well, if it's complex and if it deserves the kind of attention and maturity and insight, intellect, all those things that it needs, yes? How come we attach so little importance to understanding the meaning of good English?
Mm,
Because it seems to me that if we're going to study something, I want to have all the tools that are available to me to be able to study that situation. I mean, if I'm a scientist, I would probably want a microscope. If I'm a literary something or other, I will need a dictionary. But we need tools to be able to examine. And if I'm going to examine the meaning of life, if I'm going to assess that, I think a starting gate would be to have a good sense of English and understanding its meaning. Because you can take a word and it can mean different things to different people under different circumstances, which is
right.
fine. But if we don't understand each other properly, we're not going to get very far with delving into the deeper subjects of the meaning of life and so on. So, what this is all about, this particular message is, it's a clarion call. It's to teachers, it's to parents, it's to me, it's to you, it's to all of us to start taking English more seriously, to start looking at its, frankly, its historical beauty, to see what the legacy that we have been entrusted with, which is incredible. When you look at the encyclopedic information, all comes to us through one currency, or not one currency, but a major currency, which is English. And I think we talk about dignifying other people. I think we should dignify English. And I think we should get back into the understanding of the structure of English, how the words came into being. Do you know what that's called? Etymology. Did you know
There we
that?
go.
Nice big word. I even have, if you look behind me, you would see I have an etymology dictionary, which actually shows all the words and how they came into being and so on. But what I really want to say is we have allowed the whole scope of English to be put into third or fourth place, and we've said that computers and AI and so on can all take the place. They cannot take the place of creativity. They cannot take the place of imagination. And we need all the tools we can to be able to bring those strengths that we individually have to the table and being able to translate our senses of vision, our sense of values, and so on. If we're going to translate those effectively, we need good English to do it.
Right.
And you've seen countless advertisements, for example, in the newspaper, hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent, that frankly are absolutely meaningless. They're not even word salad. They don't even, I think they've just been put through the blender even.
Right.
There's no substance. So anyway, we have this opportunity and schools can go back to basic grammar. We can go back to words like nominative and nouns and adverbs and adjectives. Do you know what? We can even get to the difference between a gerund and a gerundive. Now I want you to look really excited. But seriously, Sarah, it's time for the meaning of meaning to be put back into English. That's what this is about. And it's a when you hear young people, for example, looking at some Shakespearean play, Romeo and Juliet, and they say, "Why do we have to learn this?" I would say to any individual, myself included, when you look at a piece of historical literature of that nature, look at it very carefully because the substance that comes out of it, the interconnections, the engagements, the way that people relate to one another are all part of our understanding what is our meaning, what indeed is our purpose of life. And if we've got those kinds of skills to work with, we've got a far better chance of being able to provide a cogent response and an intelligent response, and in fact, a hopeful response to the meaning of life. Does that resonate?
It does. I think too, if people that are in a position from a teaching perspective, uh,
Hmm.
whatever format that is for younger people as well. Like I say, I think if you look at some of the classic or as you pointed to Romeo and Juliet,
Hmm.
the storylines are applicable to modern day. So
Absolutely.
I think the neat thing, or there's an opportunity there for teaching again, whatever capacity
Yeah.
that is, to meld the two together to be able to take those the
Yeah.
classic learning and, like you say, the meaning of the meaning and
Right.
make it applicable to today, to make it relevant to people. Because I think
Yeah.
that's kind of the gap with the youth is you need to be able to, or we need to be able to make it relevant to them in order for them to gain that interest into that background that
Yeah.
you're looking at ensuring that is imparted upon them.
Well, I'll give you one. I totally agree with you. Well, actually, no, there's one thing I would say to you, and that is you talk about the gap as it applies to youth.
Mhm.
I think if I was sitting at the dining room table, I might say the gap that actually applies across humanity today.
Mhm.
Because what you're seeing today is a sense of isolation. You're seeing a sense of desperation. You're seeing a sense of loss of identity, loss of relationship. And I think when you start delving into these, and not only into the sort of historical literature, but when you start looking at how we connect with one another, we've
Mhm.
got a far better chance of rebuilding those relationships and reestablishing our curiosity and our intellect. That's the reason for doing it.
Right.
Yeah. Now, one thing, this I will close off on this. We talked about Shakespeare and all those good things and relative. Have you ever seen The Lion King?
I have.
Have you listened to the music?
I have.
Okay, for $64,000.
Oh, do not ask me questions. No trivia questions.
In which case I just won $64,000. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. What is The Lion King based on?
In what regard? It's about the circle of life.
Yeah, but what's the actual storyline based on? You ready?
I'm ready.
Hamlet.
Mm,
Fascinating. Shakespeare's Hamlet. So when people say, I love The Lion King, go read about Laertes, go and read about all the characters, go and read about
I guess
Denmark.
case in point, that's modernizing for messaging.
There you have it. Yeah. Anyway, the meaning of meaning, and I have to sign off with my meaning, which is I rest
Jeremy,
my.
$64,000 return.
Okay, well, I want my money back. Well, come on. I
It's in the
rest my
mail.
case. Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay.